The U.S. House Speaker is in Japan right now, where she has defended her tour, including the controversial stop to Taiwan. But China has further protested that visit with a new show of force. Taiwan says that several Chinese warships and jets have crossed the median line of the Taiwan Strait and that a large number of planes have entered its identification zone. Beijing also displayed its anger by announcing sanctions against Nancy Pelosi and suspending some cooperation with Washington. The U.S. says that China is overreacting. Let's get more now from Selena Wang in Beijing and Natasha Bertrand in Washington. Selena, let me start with you because China is sanctioning House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and her family, and they're also refusing to cooperate with the U.S. on a whole host of issues, including defense, drug smuggling, and even climate change. What more can you tell us?
Well, Zain, we're seeing China come full force with a whole array of retaliation and backlash diplomatically, economically, and militarily, of course. And now it is sinking U.S.-China relations to a new low. As you mentioned, they are sanctioning House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and her immediate family. They have not shared any information or details about what that will entail, but it is a highly symbolic move. And now, critically, they are announcing that they're cutting off dialogue with the U.S. in a wide array of areas.
I'm
and
hearing
critically,
myself.
as you say, in climate change. This is a really big deal because climate change is one of the only areas where the U.S. and China were continuing to consistently speak to each other despite the heightened tension over the last few years. So the fact that they are cutting off dialogue in these key areas, it just shows the state of U.S.-China relations today and just how much mistrust there is between the two sides. And it remains to be seen if the impact of this is reversible. Now, on the military front, we're also seeing China continue to ratchet up its intimidation of Taiwan, continuing to fly a large number of warplanes into Taiwan's self-declared air defense zone. This is the airspace around Taiwan, and a very inflammatory move yesterday. According to Chinese state media, missiles from China flew over Taiwan Island for the first time, not around it, but over it. This is seen as a major escalatory move that military experts tell me go beyond what they expected China to do. And Zain, this is part of a days-long military drill that's happening in essentially a circle around Taiwan in what China has called a simulation blockade. The message China is sending to the world is that our powerful and modern military has the ability to choke Taiwan off from the rest of the world at any moment. But when I speak to military experts, they also say, look, these military drills, they take a long time to plan. They couldn't have planned all of this just when they found out Pelosi might have been visiting Taiwan. Some of this have probably been a year in the making, and then they probably made some tweaks to their old outline when they found out about Pelosi's potential visit. But by pegging all of this military activity to House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit, it's creating a lot of patriotism and nationalism at home from people in China who said, this was a direct threat to our sovereignty, and we wanted to see a big response, that there's a price to be paid for provoking China. So it is a welcome distraction as well to Chinese leader Xi Jinping for the home audience at a time when the economy here is struggling under the weight of China's continuing zero COVID policy.
Let me bring in Natasha now. So Natasha, obviously it's impossible to generalize the thoughts, feelings and opinions of 330 million people, but has the way Americans perceive Nancy Pelosi, has that changed in the wake of her visit to Taipei?
It's really hard to say, but look, this was very widely recognized as kind of a legacy trip by Nancy Pelosi. This is likely her last term in Congress, and she wanted to convey to the world that she is tough on China. That is a reputation that she has had for many decades, showing the world that she is willing to stand up to the Chinese. And this is something that she wanted to do on one of her potential last major foreign trips, especially as the House Speaker. Now, the White House, of course, had been discouraging her for many, many weeks from taking this trip because they viewed it as potentially escalatory. And as we see, their kind of worst suspicions and fears have come true with the major Chinese response that we are seeing around Taiwan. But at the same time, the White House is saying that China's actions here are not proportional, that a House Speaker has visited Taiwan in the past, and that the United States' one China policy and one policy towards Taiwan has not changed either. They still believe that Taiwan should not be independent, and the visit by the Speaker has not changed that view. So what they're trying to convey to the Chinese, and what the White House actually conveyed to the Chinese ambassador to the U.S. when they summoned him to the White House just yesterday, is that it is China's actions now that are unprecedented, not the United States. But at the same time, what they're saying here is that they are not going to back down from their operations in the Western Pacific just because China has engaged in these military drills, despite the fact that, according to the National Security Council spokesman here, it appears to the United States as though China is deliberately upping the ante here in order to create a kind of new status quo, in order to kind of push the United States out of that orbit and make it so that this is normalized military activity near Taiwan to kind of prevent the United States from feeling as though it is safe to operate there. So there are a lot of escalating tensions here, a lot of back and forth that has continued between the White House and China on this. It remains to be seen, of course, whether China continues to escalate in the coming days. The White House says they believe that is entirely possible. Zane.
All right, Natasha Bertrand live for us there. Selena Wang, thank you both so much.